Hey guys, so today we are answering a subscriber question, and the question in question was, Frederick, why are so many people opting into web development even though JavaScript is a horrible language? So let's get into it. Well, I suppose that the best way I can explain it is that web development represents the biggest job provider in the world. That's probably the reason. So it doesn't really matter if JavaScript is a horrible language, because the fact of the matter is that the amount of people doing embedded systems and doing games development and all of the mobile development is dwarfed, like the amount of jobs open to you, like the need for programmers in these regions or those areas. Although there is a need. It's not like it's non-existent but in comparison to the needs for web development, it's not a very fair distribution, if you will. It's web development, as I said, it represents, or enterprise development, whatever you want to call it, represents a very large amount of jobs. So if you want job security, web is probably the way to go. Or even if you decide to go into web, it's not necessarily for you to go into JavaScript. If you really don't like front-end development, you can stay as a back-end developer. At my job just the other day, we had a candidate who just explicitly said that she doesn't want to do any type of JavaScript development, like any front end or anything like that. And that's fine. We have people who want to do that and they're pretty good at it. So she can, if she wants to be a backend developer, then she can be a backend developer. So can you. It's still, technically web development. So if you really don't like JavaScript, it is possible for you to go into web development and still, to avoid that nasty language that you don't like. But I will also say that if you want to, it depends on your goals, of course. If you really don't want to, you don't have to. But personally, I can say that as somebody, but then again, I have this weird thing where I don't really care if I'm working in JavaScript or I'm working in something more nicer, that's less horrible, or whatever you want to call it. I don't really care which language it is, as long as I can feel productive within it. So having that mindset has helped me at least quite a bit, because then you become what we call a full stack developer, as somebody who can pretty much do whatever that is needed. And that's very useful. I know that my company appreciates that quite a bit, because that makes me very flexible. I can work on pretty much whatever the company needs me to work on. It also gives me a fair amount of relevancy and value within the job market, because it's very attractive to find people who have the skill and the desire to be, to master all that is the entire stack, as opposed to just really being good at one thing. There's nothing bad with that, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility. So what I want you to take away from this is that going into web development doesn't necessarily mean that you need to work with JavaScript. And the reason why so many people are opting into web development is because it's the biggest job provider in the world when it comes to programming. The demand for game developers and system level developers and mobile developers it's almost nothing in comparison to the amount of people that are required or sought after for enterprise level development or web development, whichever you want to call it. And that's simply because the internet and the web, as we know it, is the largest entity within in the modern marketplace. Having a web presence is all but a requirement today if you want to be an international, like a really successful large company. So it would stand to reason that the demand for people who know that platform really well should be a lot higher than in other areas. Well, that's at least the way that I think about it. But as I said, I just want to leave you with this. If you really don't like JavaScript, you can go into web development without touching JavaScript, and you're probably going to be fine. But yeah, I at least give it a try, because it's not as horrible as people say. So if you're just listening to somebody else telling you that JavaScript is horrible, at least give it a try before you dismiss it, because it is the world's most popular programming language. But if you don't like it, you can still be a web developer and make pretty decent living. Have a great day.